Hello students, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we'll be talking about the design of compression members as column. So technically we are going to look at the design part. Okay, so let's quickly recap what we have done in the last class. So we have done the design of compression members as column, and technically we have done the analysis part, right? So we were talking about the design of compression members can be done in two ways, right? The design of compression members can be done in two ways. The first one is the column and the second one is the struct. So since we are sticking our discussion to column in this video also, in the last class, we talked about how to analyze a column member. So technically it's a compression member. In today's class, we'll be talking about the design of compression members as a column section. So as I was discussing earlier, so the data which they might provide in the design category is, so the first condition is length will be given. Along with the length, the end conditions of the column is also given. And they will also specify certain amount of load, which is some X kilonewtons. So what you have to do, you have to find out the area, then you have to select a section, then the buckling class, the section classification. Ultimately, you're going to find out the PD value, right? So this PD value, whatever you're getting here at this step, this value must be greater than the value of X, which is given in the question. So some X value is given in the question, and this value should be greater than X. So if it is greater than X, then you can consider the section as a safe section. Okay. This problem is completely different from the analysis section, analysis part. So in analysis part, what they're going to do is they will give a certain type of section. That is what we have discussed here. So they will give a certain type of section with an length and the end conditions. And what you're going to find out is you're going to find out the design compressive strength, right? Whereas in the design part, they are not going to give this one. That is, they are not going to specify the section. Only two parameters will be given in the question. That is, one is length and the end conditions. And remaining thing, that is the selection of the section, all these things has to be done by us. So let's quickly look at the problem of design of compression members as column. So we are going to design here. So we are not going to analyze, we are going to design. So this is the problem. A column 6 meters long is effectively held in position and restrained against rotation at both ends and carries a working load of 700 kilonewtons, and you have to use a section I section. Okay, this is clearly specified. Even sometimes if they are not specifying use I sections, that means you have to use only I sections alone. So don't go for selection of angle sections or circular sections and all. So when you are designing a compression member or when you are designing a column, the section must be in the shape of I. So you know we have different I sections, that is ISMB, ISHB, ISWB, ISJB. Likewise, we have different types of sections, right? So let's look at what type of section you're going to check down or you're going to select this one from all the 4 or from the 5 different types of I sections which are available for us. Okay, so before talking about which I section we are going to select, let's look at the problem. So as I was telling earlier, so the design problems will be basically given with two data. One is the length of the column and the end conditions of the column, right? Held in position and restrained against rotation at both ends. And along with that, they will give some load also, right? So the length is given. Along with the length, the end conditions are also given. Okay, this is the first thing. And the second thing which they have given is they have given certain amount of load, right? So this is the given data. So from this, you are going to select a section. That is, it can be an any of these 4 sections which I have mentioned. So we'll go back to the introduction part where I was talking about in the design oriented problems, you are given with the length and the end conditions along with certain amount of load. And ultimately what you're going to do is this part, that is the design the section part. Okay, so let's solve this problem using this procedure. So here initially let's write the given data and then let's solve the problem. Okay, the solution. So given L equals to 6 meters, that is length of the column is 6 meters, and the end conditions are also specified. So the end conditions are also given. Okay, so what is the end condition that is given? It is given as effectively held in position, effectively held in position, and restrained against rotation at both ends. Effectively held in position, that means you have a column which is effectively held, that means it cannot move, and restrained against rotation. Restrained in the sense it cannot rotate. So this section cannot rotate. So restrained against rotation at both ends. So on the top end, it cannot rotate, and on the bottom end also it cannot rotate. So what does it indicate? It says the given I section is a fixed section, or the given column is fixed at both ends, because only when the column is fixed you don't find any rotations. If the column is not fixed, you will find obviously certain kind of movements or rotations. So from this it's a both ends are fixed. So both ends are fixed. So this is what they have specified. So the both ends are fixed. Along with this, you are also given with working load. Okay, you are also given with working load. So working load equals to 700 kilonewtons. And here you have to remember one thing, they have given the working load, not the factored load. So in order to convert the working load to factored load, you have to multiply the working load with 1.5, which is the partial safety factor. So therefore, factored load equals to 1.5 times of working load. What is working load? It is 700 kilonewtons. So if you solve this one, you will be getting the answer as 1050 kilonewtons. So the factored load you can denote with PD. Okay, the factored load you can denote with PD, and working load you can mention with P, capital P. So now this is the given data. Now, what is the first thing which we have to do? We have to find out, right? Ultimately, what we are going to find out is we are going to find out this one, which is PD equals to AE into FCD. So let's write this one. So PD equals to AE into FCD, where FCD is design compressive stress or force, and AE is the effective area, and PD is the factored load. Now here in our problem, we don't know what is the effective area, and we also don't know what is the value of FCD, right? Whereas in the first model problem, that is in the analysis problem, we know the section, right? From the section, that is ISHB 300, we from steel tables, we got the area value, that is 7485 mm square, right? So by using this, we had to find out the FCD value. That was easy. But in design problems, since we don't know both AE and FCD, we have to do in a different way. So how will you do that? That can be done in this way. So let's quickly solve how you're going to do that. So before finding out the AE and FCD values, let's find out the value of K. So you know the slenderness ratio equals to KL by R, right? So you need to know the value of K. So let's find out the value of K. Now, how will you find out the value of K? From table 11 of IS 800 2007. Okay, from table 11 of IS 800 2007. For both ends fixed, for both ends fixed, right? We have decided that both ends of the column are fixed. For both ends fixed, the value of K equals to, so we don't know value of K. So let's look into the table 11 and find out what is the value of K. So this is the table 11 of IS 800 2007, which talks about effective length of prismatic compression members. So here, let's look at the both ends fixed condition. See, this is the first one is one end is fixed, other end is free. Here, one end is roller and the other end is hinge. In the third case, the both ends are roller supports, and the next one end is fixed and other end is roller, and the other case is one end is fixed and the other end is hinged, and the last one is both ends are fixed. So when both ends are fixed, what is the value of K? It is 0.65 L, right? That means the value of K is 0.65. So let's solve that one and find out the value of KL. So the value of K is 0.65. So therefore, KL equals to 0.65 into L. What is the length that is given? It is 6 meters into 6000 mm. I'm converting into mm. So therefore, KL will be 3900 mm. So we got to know the KL value. Now, what is the first step which we have to do? We have to find out the area, right? This is the first step. So let's find out the area required. So let's keep this heading as first step, area required. Area required. So how will you find out this area required? So you need to have certain conditions for this, right? So you know PD equals to AE into FCD. Okay. So here AE is nothing but required area or area required. Okay. Now PD we know which is the value of load given in the question, that is 1050 kilonewtons. Remember, PD is the factored load, not the working load. Don't take it as 700 kilonewtons. So PD is the factored load, which is 1050 kilonewtons. So let's write the PD value, that is 1050 kilonewtons. And we need to find out the area AE, or it is also called as area required. So we don't know this value. And we also don't know the value of FCD, that is the design compressive force, right? Now, how will you find out FCD? If you have two unknowns in this equation, in this, if you consider this as equation 1, in the equation 1, you have two unknowns, only one known is there, that is PD value. So let us assume, that is in design type of problems, you need to assume, okay, the value of FCD. So assume FCD equals to 130 newtons per mm square. Why I am assuming FCD as 130 newtons per mm square? As IS 800 2007 says that the value of FCD, okay, when you are assuming the value of FCD for column members, remember it is for column members. So the for column members, the value of FCD can range between 110 to 180 newtons per mm square. This is as per code book. Okay, so for column sections, the value of FCD, this is only for the column sections. We have the next part which is for structs. Okay, so for structs it is different. So for column sections, assume the value of FCD which should be in between 110 to 180 newtons per mm square. You can take any value between these two values, that is in between 110 to 180, you can take any value as FCD. So I am just considering it as 130 newtons per mm square. You can also take 110, you can also take 175, 180, 160, any value. The condition is it should be between 110 to 180. Just remember that one. So I'm assuming the value of FCD as 130 newtons per mm square. So we know the PD value and we also know FCD value. So from equation 1, we can get the value of AE, which is 1050 into 10 cube, which I am converting into newtons, equals to AE into FCD. What is the value of FCD? It is 130. Okay, so if you solve for this one, you are going to get AE as 8076 mm square. Okay, 8076.9 mm square. Okay, but in our code book, if you check down the steel tables book, okay, all the area values will be given in the centimeter square values. They will not be given in the mm square, they will be given in centimeter square. So let's convert 8076 mm square into centimeter square. It will be 80.76 centimeter square. So this is the What is this value? This is the required area value, that is A required or area required. Okay, now by using this area, okay, by using this area, refer steel tables book. Please carefully listen. By using this area, that is the area which is obtained here, refer steel tables book, refer steel tables. Okay, for which sections you are going to refer? You are going to refer for I sections. You are going to refer I sections. So as I told earlier, in I sections, you have different categories, that is ISMB, ISHB, ISWB, ISJB. So which one you have to select? So as I was telling, you have different I sections, ISHB, ISMB, ISJB, ISWB, right? And ISLB. These are the 5 sections which are available for us. Now, which one has to be selected and on what basis you are going to select? So it is always preferred that, okay, I'm just writing the next path here. It is always preferred that the first preference has to be given for ISHB. Okay, so the first preference has to be given for ISHB. When you are selecting a section, the first preference has always to be given for ISHB, which is says that Indian Standard Heavyweight Beam. And the second preference has to be given for ISMB. The second preference has to be given for ISMB. So remember these two. The first preference has to be given for ISHB and the second preference has to be given for ISMB. So if you don't find an area 80.76 in ISHB, then only you go for ISMB. Remember, if you don't find an area greater than 80.76 mm square in ISHB, then you go for selection of ISMB. So if there is an area which is having greater than 80.76 mm square in ISHB itself, then select ISHB. So let's look at the steel tables book and find out an A section, that is ISHB section, which has an area greater than or equals to 80.76 square centimeter or 8076 mm square. So let's look at the steel tables book now. So this is the steel tables book. So in steel tables book, let's quickly check down what are the various sections that we have. We have the rolled steel section, equal angles, unequal angles, T-bars, but what we need I sections. So let's check down I sections, or I sections are also called as beam sections. So we have the fourth one, which is rolled steel beams, right? Rolled steel beams. So that is available in page number 12. So let's go to page number 12 and find out the values of area, right? So let's go back to table number, page 12, which talks about rolled steel beams. Yeah, so here you can see the rolled steel beams, that is from table 4. So here you might not see the values very clearly, but however, we'll check them. So this is the rolled steel beams, that is from table 4 of steel tables book. So please refer table 4 of steel tables book. So here you have ISJB, ISLB, ISMB, right? And again, you also have the other values, that is for ISWB, ISHB, right? What I said, we have to give first preference to the ISHB section and then the second preference to ISMB section. So let's look at ISHB initially. What is the area which we have obtained? It is 80.76 square centimeters. So let's look at the properties here. See here, you can see the designation is the first one, weight of the section, and the third row is the sectional area, that is area, which is given in centimeter square. So those who have steel tables, please open steel tables book and check down this one. So let's find out the sectional area, that is the third column, which has an area greater than or equals to 80.76 square centimeters. Okay, so if you check down here, we are going to give first preference to ISHB. So here you can see This is ISHB. All these are ISHB sections. What we need is 80.76. So here for ISHB 300, you have 80.25. But for ISHB 350, we have 85.91 square centimeter. So what we require is just 80.76. So you should always provide, right? The required area value must be greater than or equals to the area which you are going to provide. Okay, so that means 80, if you are selecting a section, it must have an area greater than 80.76 square centimeter. So 85.91 is greater than 80.76. So I'm selecting ISHB 350. So let's quickly write that one. So therefore, the section which we have selected is ISHB 350. So selecting ISHB 350 at the rate 67.4 kilograms per meter. 67.4 represents it is the weight of the section. So what is the area of this section? It has an area of 85.91 square centimeters. 85.91 square centimeter. But how much we have to provide? We have to provide only 80.76. You can provide greater than that. You should always provide greater than 80.76. Never select a section which has an area less than 80.76. Okay, so therefore 85.91 is the area of ISHB 350. Let's also write the other properties. Okay, so the sectional properties, or you can write selecting ISHB 350 which has an area of, so how much area? Area is denoted with capital A, 85.91. So the sectional properties of, let's also write the sectional properties. So for each and every problem, when you are selecting the section, it is mandatory to write the sectional properties. So the sectional properties of ISHB 350 at the rate 67.4 kilogram per meter are, so let's write all the sectional properties. The first one is area, that is, let's also write one more time the area, that is 85.91 square centimeter. So I'm converting into mm square, which will become 8591 mm square. And the height of the section is 350 mm. And the width of the flange, that is BF, is 250 mm. And thickness of the flange, which is 11.6 mm. And the thickness of web, right? So the thickness of web, that is TW. So let's write TW equals to 8.3 mm. And we'll also write RZZ, that is radius of gyration along RZZ axis, which is also called as RXX. Remember, don't confuse between RZZ and RXX. They both are same. And here also RZZ value will be in centimeters. So I'm converting into mm directly. So RYY equals to 53.4 mm. Okay. Now these are the sectional properties of ISHB 350. So let's solve for the next step. What is the next step? We have to find out which buckling class it belongs. So we found out the area and then we selected a section. The second step is also completed. The third step is buckling class. So let's write that one. So the second step or third step, so because we found out in the first step only, we found out the selection of section. So what we are going to find out is buckling class. Buckling class. Now, how will you find out this buckling class? You need to use table 10. So please remember table 10 of IS 800 2007. So this is in page number 44. Okay, if you refer IS 800 2007, in page number 44, you have the value of buckling classes. So let's quickly look into the graph or the table 10 and then understand which buckling class it belongs. So before finding out the buckling class, remember we have four buckling classes, that is A, B, C, D are the four buckling classes. And when I was telling the first problem, I told that buckling always happens. Okay, buckling happens about, remember, about minor axis. I hope you remember this one. This we have discussed in the analysis problem. So buckling always happen minor axis. How will you define minor axis? You need to verify RZZ value and RYY value. So whichever is the smaller value, okay, whichever is the smaller value, that will be your minor axis. So 149.3 mm is one value and 53.4 is the another value. 53.4, sorry, 53.4 mm, right? So the minor axis is RYY. Okay, minor axis is RYY. Anyways, I'll come back to that. So you can make it as R minimum equals to 53.4 mm. Okay, this one you just have an idea about this. So let's find out which buckling class it belongs to, A, B, or C, C or D. So let's look into the table 10 of IS 800-2007, which is in page number 44. So this is the table 10 of IS 800-2007, which is in page number 44. You can refer page number 44 as you see here. Okay. So anyways, so what does table 10 talks about? It talks about the buckling class of cross sections. Now, which section you are going to use? Is it the I section or the welded I section or hollow section, welded box or the channel angle T section or built up section? It is clearly given in our question that we have to use I section. Even though if it is not mentioned in the question, you have to use I sections only. Now in I sections, you have two categories. One is rolled I sections and the second one is welded I sections. So since nothing is specified about the type of connection, that is whether it is a bolted or welded, what you're going to select is you're going to select rolled I sections. Remember, until or unless welded I section is specified, you are going to select this one. Since nothing is specified, you're going to select rolled I sections. Now, rolled I sections, if you check down, you have two limits. The first limit is h by bf greater than 1.2 and the second condition is h by bf less than or equals to 1.2. And you also have another conditions, that is tf, that is thickness of the flange less than or equals to 40 mm and tf is in between 40 and 100 mm, and in the second case tf value less than or equals to 100 mm and tf value greater than 100 mm. So let's find out these conditions initially. So for the first case, what we are going to find out is we need to check down h by bf value, whether it is greater than 1.2 or less than or equals to 1.2. So let's quickly find out the value of h by bf. Okay, so h by bf equals to, what is h? It is the height of the section, which is 350 mm, right? And bf is width of the flange, which is 250 mm, right? So when you solve for h by bf value, you're going to get the answer as 1.4. So it is greater than 1.2, right? So the h by bf value is greater than 1.2. So here you can see. So which one is satisfying, the first one or the second one? It is the first one, that is h by bf is greater than 1.2. Now what is the second condition here in the same category, that is in h by bf category? You have the thickness of the flange less than or equals to 40 mm or thickness of the flange lying in between 40 and 100 mm. So let's find out what is the thickness of the flange for our section. So the thickness of the flange of our section is 11.6 mm. Okay, so the thickness of the flange for our section is 11.6 mm. So is it less than 40 or greater than 40? It is less than 40, right? So the thickness of the flange, remember here h by bf value is greater than 1.2 and tf value is less than 40. So this is the condition. which has been satisfied by our section, that is ISHP 350. Let's find out which buckling class it belongs to. So you can see this table. So what we have got is H by BF greater than 1.2 and TF value less than or equals to 40 mm. So when TF value less than or equals to 40 mm, you have two conditions. One is ZZ axis and the YY axis. Along ZZ axis, you have buckling class A, and along YY axis, you have buckling class B. Remember, along ZZ axis, you have buckling class A, and along YY axis, you have buckling class B. Now, for any section, you will have only one buckling class. It cannot be two buckling classes. So let's find out which buckling class it belongs to. Is it belongs to A or B? So let's write down the given section or the selected section. Okay, let's write down the section. The section belongs to, okay, the section belongs to buckling class A along ZZ axis and buckling class B, okay, buckling class B along YY axis. Okay, so it belongs to buckling class A as well as buckling class B. Since for any section you will have only one buckling class, you have to find out whether it belongs to buckling class A or buckling class B. So I was telling that the buckling will always happen about minor axis. So we have to find out which value. So RZZ is having 149.3 mm and RYY is having 53.4 mm. So buckling happens along YY axis because it's having less value, that is 53.4, right? So the buckling happens along the axis which is having the less value of R. So therefore it belongs to YY axis. That means the buckling happens along YY axis. So therefore the buckling happens along minor axis, right? This condition you should always keep it in mind. So the buckling happens along minor axis, that is YY axis, because you have RYY as lesser value. So the buckling, the section belongs to, right? And hence you can write this statement, and hence the section belongs to which buckling class? It belongs to buckling class B. Okay, along YY axis you have buckling class B. So therefore the section belongs to buckling class B, right? We found out the buckling class, right? Now the third step is we have to find out the section classification. You can see the third step is also completed. So the fourth step is section classification, right? But here what you have to remember is in analysis types of problems, we have done the buckling class. After finding out the buckling class, we directly found out the lambda value and then FCD. We didn't do the section classification. But in design problems, it is mandatory to do the section classification. So let's check that one. So section classification. Section classification. Now here also you have to remember one thing. You have three different types of sections. Okay, three types of sections are there. Okay, so let's check down which section or which type it belongs to. Now in order to find out this one, you have to refer table 2. Okay, so refer table 2 of IS 800 2007 and then find out which category it belongs to. Okay, let's look at this table, that is table 2 of IS 800 2007. So this is the table 2 of IS 800 2007. So it is available in page number 18. So you can open page number 18 and you will find the table 2. Now here, as I was telling, you have the class of section. I told that you have three types of sections. One is the class 1 represents the plastic section, class 2 represents the compact section, and the class 3 represents the semi-compact section. Now you have to find out which class it belongs to. So before finding out which class it belongs to, you have the compression element as the first column, and you have number of categories. Right? You can see the number of categories which are mentioned here. Right? You have all the different types of sections. Right? Now here, which one you are going to select? Okay, here which one you are going to select? Now here you have to be very careful in selecting the section. Now, how you are going to select? So what is the type of section? Our section is a I section, and in particularly it's a rolled I section or rolled steel I section, right? So it belongs to rolled steel I section. So since it belongs to rolled steel I section, right? So the rolled section, you can see here the rolled section. So you have the condition that is B by TF, right? B by TF value you have to find out. If B by TF is less than 9.4, then it belongs to class 1. Okay. If B by TF is less than 10.5 and greater than 9.4, it is class 2. If B by TF is less than 15.7 and greater than 10.5, then it belongs to class 3. Okay. So these are the three classifications. So please be very careful in understanding this. So you are using the rolled section. So for rolled sections, you have B by TF and you have three conditions, and you have to check the B by TF value in which category it is falling. Is it less than 9.4E, or is it less than 10.5E, or is it less than 15.7E, where here E is the epsilon. Okay, epsilon. So the value of E is given here. You can check down under notes. You have the second condition. E equals to 250 by Fy whole power 1 by 2, or under root 250 by Fy. So we'll find out that one anyways in a shorter time. Now, this is B by TF. And you also have to find out another condition, which is the web of I section. Right? So here you can see outstanding element of compression flange. So whatever we are finding out, that is the B by TF value represents for flange. And you also have to find out D by TW value, which is for web. Remember, D by TW represents for web. That is the depth by thickness of web. Now here, which one you are going to select is, always remember for I sections, okay, for I sections, here you can see the web of an I, comma, H or box sections, okay, web of an I or H or box sections, you need to consider this column, that is the axial compression. Remember, you need to consider the axial compression. So that represents D by TW. So D by TW must be less than 42 epsilon. So if it is less than 42 epsilon, then it belongs to class 3. So here you have to remember all the three conditions, all the conditions, that is B by TF and D by TW has to be checked for any kinds of problems. Okay, in the design of sections, you have to check for B by TF value and then identify a section. You also have to check for D by TW value, which must be less than 42 epsilon. And here you have to remember, you have to check for axial compression only. Okay, compression represents, it's a column, and you have I-shaped column. So for I-shaped column, the axial compression, that is D by TW, must be less than 42 epsilon. So let's write these values here. So let's find out initially B by TF value and D by TW's values, and then we'll come back to this table and classify the section. So let's quickly look at this. Yeah. So here, as I was telling, you have to find out the B by TF value. This is the first value. And the second thing is D by TW value. So we have to find these two things first initially. So how will you find out B by TF value? So the value of B we don't know. right? Don't confuse. It is not BF, it is just a B. How will you find out B value is, it is half of the width of flange, that is BF by 2. Half of the width of the flange will be the value of B. And the thickness of the flange we know, however. Okay, remember the B equals to BF by 2. So what is BF? That is width of the flange. It is 250 mm. You can see here, it is 250 mm. So 250 divided by 2 upon thickness of the flange is 11.6. You can check out. Thickness of the flange is 11.6 mm. So if you solve for this one, you'll be getting this value as 10.77. Okay. So here what you have to remember is B equals to BF divided by 2. That is width of the flange divided by 2. Let's also find out D by TW value. Now here the D by TW value has to be found out. So here directly D value we don't know. Okay, we don't know the value of D, right? We know the value of H, that is height of the section. Now how will you find out the value of D is, you have a formula, that is height of the section, that is H minus 2 times of thickness of flange, okay, minus 2 times of root radius. Root radius. Let's check down what is root radius after writing down this formula. Okay, root radius divided by thickness of web. Now, what is this root radius? Now, for any section, if you consider, okay, for any I section, if you consider, you will have the sections in this way. That means you will have a small curvature here. You can see a small parts of curvatures. I'll write with mention with another color. You can see a small curvature will be there. So this is called as root radius. This is called as root radius. So the radius at root. So this root radius has to be found out for ISHB 350. That is the section which we have selected, right? This has to be found out for ISHB 350. And if you refer Steel Tables book, you will have the value of root radius. So let's quickly look at what is the root radius of ISHB 350. So this is the rolled steel beams, that is table 4, if you remember, right? So from this table only we have selected the section. So here you can check out the designation, weight per meter. On the top you are finding some properties, right? Depth of the section, thickness of the web, moment of inertia, radius of gyration. If you go into the next page, you will have these sections, right? So modulus of section, root, radius at root, that is called as R1, radius at toe, that is called as R2, right? What we need is radius at root. So radius at root is for which type of section? It is for ISHB 350. So here you can see for ISHB 350, right? For ISHB 350, the radius at root has to be found out. So what is the radius at root of ISHB 350? This is radius at root, which is 12. So you can see the third column is radius at root, which is in mm. So the third column, and for ISHB 350, you have the radius at root as 12 mm. So let's note down this value, that is 12 mm. So let's note down there in the calculation part. So therefore, radius at root, that is R1, equals to 12 mm from Steel Tables book. So this is obtained from the Steel Tables book. So for which one? It is obtained for ISHB 350 from Steel Tables for ISHB 350. And remember, you also have to mention the unit weight of the section, that is 67.4 kilogram per meter. Okay. Anyways, so now let's solve for this one. So therefore, D by TW equals to H value. What is H? It is the height of the section. What is the height of the section? It is 350. Okay. So 350 minus 2 times of thickness of flange. What is thickness of flange? 11.6 minus 2 times of radius at root. What is radius at root? It is R1, that is 12, divided by thickness of web. What is the thickness of the web? It is 8.3. So you can check down. Thickness of web is 8.3. So let's solve for this one. It is 36.42. So the d by tw is 36.42 and b by tf is 10.77. Remember these two values. B by tf is 10.77 and d by tw is 36.42. So by using these values, we have to find out which section it belongs to. Is it class 1 or class 2 or class 3? So let's go back to the steel table, IS 800 2007 code book and find out which section it belongs to. So this is the table 2. So what is the B by TF value which we have got? It is 10.77. So let's look at here. So B by TF, you have 9.4, that is less than 9.4 and greater than 9.4 and less than 10.5. And the last case is greater than 10.5 and less than 15.7. Now, what is our B by TF value? It is 10.77. So 10.77 is less than 15.7 and greater than 10.5. So it belongs to class 3, right? As far as B by TF is concerned, it belongs to class 3, that is semi-compact, right? I hope it is clear. So B by TF value, we have got it as 10.77 while calculating. So 10.77 is less than 15.7 and greater than 10.5. So it belongs to class 3, which is semi-compact. That is only for B by TF. We also have to look for D by TW. So what is the value of D by TW in axial compression? D by TW should be less than 42 epsilon. So 42 epsilon. What is the value of D by TW which we have obtained? It is 36.42. So 36.42 is less than 42 epsilon. So however, it belongs to class 3 both in B by TF and D by TW. And remember, epsilon value is taken as under or 250 by Fi whole power 1 by 2. Fi value is also 250, where 250 by 250 will become 1. 1 power 1 by 2 will become 1. So I'm taking directly the epsilon value as 1. Okay, you can also take epsilon value for all the models of problems as 1. So from this, we can clearly tell that the given section or the section which we have selected, that is ISHP 350, belongs to semi-compact section. Okay, so let's write that one. So therefore, B by B by TF is less than 15 times of epsilon and D by TW is less than 42 epsilon, where epsilon equals to under root 250 by Fi, where Fi is 250 again. So which will be under root 1. Under root 1 is 1. Anyways, so therefore, or since D by since B by TF, can write here, since B by TF is less than 15 epsilon and D by TW is less than 42 epsilon, the section belongs to class 3. The section belongs to class 3, that is semi-compact. Okay, the section belongs to class 3, that is semi-compact. So I hope this is clear for all of you. The section belongs to class 3. Now, what is the next step which we have to do after finding out the section? We have to find out the PD value. So we found out the section classification. Now we need to find out PD value. So PD value can be found out by AE into FCD. We know AE value, that is the effective area of ISHP 350, but we don't know FCD. So in order to find out FCD, you need to find out the slenderness ratio value. So let's write the next step, that is step 4. Okay, step 4. So design strength. that is PD. So PD equals to AE into FCD. What is AE? It is the effective area. What is the effective area? It is 85, it is 85.91 square centimeter. Don't take it as AE as 80.76. It is the area required value. Okay. But how much area we have provided, that you have to take it as AE. So therefore, AE equals to 8591 mm square. Now, how will you find out FCD? In order to find out FCD, you should find out the slenderness ratio value, that is KL by R minimum. What is the value of KL? Right? We have to check down. So we found out that one already. So KL is 3900. So KL equals to 3900. And what is R minimum? It is 53.4. Right? So 53.4. It is actually the least of RZZ and RYY. So in these two values, whichever is the least, that you have to take it as R min. So if you solve for lambda value, it will be obtaining as 43.03. Now, this must be less than 180. Remember, this must be less than 180. So why I am saying it as 180? Let's look into the steel tables book and then find out the value, whether it is less than 180 or why exactly we are taking it as 180. So if you refer table 3, which talks about maximum values of effective slenderness ratio, which is there in table page number 20, right? So here you have 6 different conditions. A member carrying compressive loads resulting from dead loads and imposed load. And the second condition is a tension member in which a reversal of direct stress occurs due to loads other than wind or seismic loads. Likewise, you have 6 conditions. Now, what is the type of our section? It's a compression member. So for compression member, that is for the first case, a member carrying compressive loads. A compression member carries compressive loads. So for compression members, the maximum effective slenderness ratio, that is KL by R value, should not be greater than 180. Right? The maximum slenderness ratio value is 180. It cannot go beyond that. And that's how I told here it is less than 180. So therefore it is safe. So this 180 is obtained from that particular table. Okay, so you can make it as page 20 of IS 800 2007. So specifically, what is a table number? It is table 3. Okay, it is table 3. Okay, so the lambda value also we have got. Now, how will you find out FCD value? You need to find out FCD value, right? So how will you find out FCD value? You need to refer the IS 800 2007 code book. So how you are going to refer your buckling class? Based on your buckling class, you have to refer steel tables book. Sorry, IS 800 2007 book. So the buckling class is B, right? So I was telling you earlier, we have 4 buckling classes, right? Buckling class A, buckling class B, buckling class C, and buckling class D. For each buckling class, we have tables 9A, 9B, 9C, and 9D. This I have talked you, right? So table 9A talks about buckling class A, 9B talks about buckling class B, 9C talks about buckling class C, and 9D talks about buckling class D, right? This we have talked in the first problem. So our case is buckling class B, right? Our section belongs to buckling class B. Therefore, we have to refer table 9B of IS 800 2007. So let's refer that one. So let's write the statement here before finding out. From table 9B of IS 800 2007. So don't confuse here. I am taking table 9B because our section belongs to buckling class B. So if it belongs to buckling class C, you can take 9C. If it belongs to buckling class D, you can take 9D. So whichever buckling class it belongs to, you have to take that corresponding table. So from table 9B of IS 800-2007, okay, you have to find out the value of FCD when lambda equals to 73.03. Okay, you have to find out the value of FCD when lambda equals to 73.03. So let's look at this table and find out FCD value. Remember, lambda value is 73.3. Okay, so this is the table 9B, okay, which is there in page number 41 of IS 800-2007, which talks about the design compressive strength, especially for buckling class B. So you can see for buckling class B, right? So as I was telling in the first problem also, that is in the analysis type of problem. So along x-axis, you have the different ranges of values of Fy, that is yield strength, starting from 200 to 540, and along y-axis, you have different values of lambda, that is KL by R values, starting from 10 to 250 with an interval of 10 mm. Sorry, with an interval of 10. Anyways, so let's find out the value of FCD value. So what is our lambda value? If you check down, we got lambda value as 73.03, right? For lambda equals to 73.03, we need to find out the value of FCD. So remember, lambda is nothing but KL by R. Okay, slenderness ratio is denoted with KL by R, right? So now if you check down here, you don't have the exact values of lambda, that is 73.703 value you don't have. So where exactly the 73.03 lies? So it lies in between 70 and 80, right? So the 73.03 lies in between 70 and 80. So what is the value of Fy? It is always fixed, which is 250 megapascals. Remember, it is always fixed, which is 250 megapascals. Now, when lambda equals to 70, what is the value of FCD? It is 166, right? So when lambda equals to 40, what is the value of FCD? It is 150. So you need to find out lambda equals to 73.03 of FCD value. So if you interpolate these values, you are going to get the values of FCD value when lambda equals to 73.03. So let's write the statement here. So here, let's write down the same statement from table 9B of IS 800-2007. For lambda equals to 73.03, you need to find out FCD value. So lambda equals to 73.03. So you need to find out FCD value. Okay, you know lambda, that is 73.03, lies in between lambda equals to 70 and lambda equals to 80, right? So for lambda equals to 70, from the table, what is the value of FCD? It is 166. And the value of FCD when lambda equals to 80 is 150. Right? Now, from this, if you interpolate these values, you can get the value of FCD as 161.15 newtons per mm square. Always remember the value of FCD is in mm square, that is newtons per mm square. So let's write down that one, that is 161.15 newtons per mm square. Now you know FCD value also, right? Therefore, PD equals to AE into FCD. What is the value of area, that is effective area? We know it is 8591 mm square. This is for ISHP 350, the section which we have selected. So 8591 mm square into what is the value of FCD? It is 161.15. So if you solve for this one, it will be giving the answer as 138,445.6 newtons. So let's convert this into kilonewtons. So it will be 1384.45 kilonewtons. Now you have to check whether the condition is safe or not, whether the load is safe or not. How will you check? So let's go back to here. So I was telling that you should find out the PD value, that is AE into FCD. So once you find out the PD value, it must be greater than the value of X. So X is some load which is given in the question. This will be already given in the question. So the value of PD, the calculated value of PD must be greater than the value of X which is given in the question. What is the load that is given in the question? It is 700 kilonewtons. So the PD value must be greater than 700 kilonewtons. So it is obviously greater than 700 kilonewtons, right? 1384 is greater than 700 kilonewtons, right? So therefore, the selected section is safe. That is, the section which you have selected, ISHP 350, is safe to carry the load. Sorry, here it is not 700. 700 is the working load, but the design load we have to take, or the factored load. So the factored load is, what is the factored load? It is, you can see 1050 kilonewton. Don't take it as 700. It is the working load. If in the question they will give directly the factored load, then you can take that value. Since working load is given, you have to multiply with 1.5 and consider that as a factored load. So it must be, that is, the PD value must be greater than the factored load. So it is greater than 1050 kilonewtons. Therefore, the section is safe. And this is how the entire design process of design of compression members as a column, right? So this problem talks about the design process. In the last class, we talked about the analysis type of problems, right? So you can keep these two problems as an assignment, or you can solve these problems so that you will have an understanding of how to solve the process. So try to solve this problem. So design a stanchion. Stanchion is nothing but column. Remember, stanchion or column, they both are same. Okay, so design a stanchion 3.5 meters long in a building subjected to a factored load of 350 kilonewtons. So here the load is factored load. You don't need to multiply with 1.5. So both the ends of the stanchion are effectively restrained in direction and position. Okay, check down the condition, okay, from table 11, that is K value, and then you can solve the process as we solved in the previous example, that is here, right? So in the next class, we'll be solving the third model type of problem, right? So here I was telling that the design of column consists of two sections. One is the analysis part, and the second one is the design part. So however, we are also done with the design part, that is this one. We have an additional part, which is the third part. Okay, this is the first part, which is analysis. Second part is design, and the third part, which is of built up sections. Built up sections. So this we'll see in the next class, that is the design of built up section. Technically not design, we are going to see the analysis of built up section. We don't need to solve for the design process for time being. So let's look at how to solve or how to analyze the built up section which is provided. So this we'll see in the next class. Thank you.